Now, I talked at the top of the show about Labor's super tax, just about how much spending has blown out per head of population. And there's been plenty of talk about tax reform in the lead up to Labor's economic reform roundtable, which is next month. But my next guest has warned it must also address the nation's entitlement mindset, which has been fostered, of course, by governments. And it comes after the Centre for Independent Studies found that more than half of people in Australia are now relying on the government for the majority of their income. Well, joining me now is Senior Fellow at the Centre for Independent Studies, Robert Carling. Robert, welcome. Government expenditure has surged over the past 12 years. You've warned that we'll have higher taxes if spending isn't wound back. The only problem seems to be that no one on either side of the political aisle now wants to talk about cutting spending. It's almost like the $1 trillion of debt that we're now hurtling towards isn't even a thing.
That's right. I've crunched the numbers, and the size of government in Australia at all levels has increased quite sharply, particularly since before the pandemic. But it's not just because of the pandemic, it's because of other things, which this slide that you put up shows very nicely. Led, of course, by the NDIS, but other things like aged care, childcare, schools, public hospitals, and various other aspects of health, defence, as you see there. So all of these things have been responsible for this sharp increase in government spending at all levels, but particularly at the level of the federal government. This is what is driving up the tax burden to a record level already. I would hope to see recognition of this in the economic roundtable next month.
Well, I mean, what exactly do we expect to come out of this economic roundtable? There's so many times we've had things like this. I'm remembering Kevin Rudd, got together some of the brightest, well, allegedly brightest minds in Australia to come up with ideas for reform and how to throw the country forward. I'm not terribly confident that we're going to come out of this economic roundtable with genuine tax reform or genuine plans to get the budget under control.
Well, no, I'm not very confident about it either. But I wouldn't expect a detailed blueprint to come out of it, but I would hope at least for some agreement on high-level principles. The easiest one is that weak productivity growth is one of the nation's biggest problems, economic problems, and that government policy should be focused on doing what it can to stimulate productivity growth, and also going beyond that, that there are a lot of things that could be done in the arena of regulation, red tape, redesign and reduction to stimulate productivity growth. And when it comes to taxation, yes, tax reform can help productivity growth, but not if it's just becomes a revenue-raising exercise.
Yes.
And this is what I fear, that this is what the government wants to come out of it, some green light for tax increases of various kinds.
Well, and that's basically what the Treasurer said today about the super tax. It's the objective is to get more money because they don't have enough to balance the budget. And, when you've got a situation where half of the country is reliant on the government for the majority of their income, we are in serious trouble. Robert, thank you so much for joining me tonight.